What's happening, people? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of Manchester United Fans Corner. I'm your host, Shegun. And guys, it's great to be back here to discuss Manchester United. Michael Carrick has been announced as the new caretaker manager for Manchester United up until the end of the season. So a lot of talking points about Michael Carrick, about the decision that the board made to make him the interim manager. And not just that alone, we're looking at what we expect from a Michael Carrick team and also try to connect the dots with what we should expect towards the selection process, towards the new permanent manager. So guys, a lot of talking points in this episode. So guys, let's jump right into it quick as possible. So first and foremost, we want to talk about Michael Carrick. For me, I feel that it's a welcome addition to Manchester United because Carrick is someone that obviously is one of the legends that I truly respect. Based on his activities, in the media space, he has not been the one to come out to criticize the team or to criticize a particular manager. He's always been someone that has been calm, has been composed, and I feel that quality is one of the reasons why he was selected. One of the reasons why he was selected to become the interim manager. So I also feel he's someone that obviously when you watch his game, especially when you watch how we coach Middlesbrough, you can see he's someone that obviously has an identity. He has a style of play, which we'll go a little bit into today. You see that he's someone that, he understands the way he wants to play football. And I think it's a welcome idea that we have in mind that at least has an idea of how he wants to play, not just in terms of the general play, but also in terms of tactically how he wants to approach the game. So let's go into reasons why I believe, or that have been said also, why Michael Carrick was chosen to be the interim manager. I think for me, I can classify it into three major reasons why he was chosen. And then we can now look at those reasons and see were those genuine reasons. First reason is the fact that signing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to the Manchester United board appeared as if they were going to the past. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signifies a past. And I think we did that in the episode we talking about the circle of doom. How that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming back in as the interim manager, will signify that we are going back to, to the same position we were after we sacked Mourinho. So I think there was a significance that Solskjaer obviously represents the past. And also, with the past comes good things. With also the past comes mistakes and errors that have been made, right? And so I feel that obviously they saw it that the fan base was not unified behind Solskjaer. I think you have to be very clear. In the sense of people saw it that, okay, Solskjaer did this well for us. But also, we could also see the other way that people also were coming out. We also said it, that there was a particular brand of football that we played under Solskjaer, counter-attack football. It was a system that was just express yourself. It was a system that was just, individual brilliance. So we elected those. And I think the board would have taken note of it and said, there are mixed feelings about the appointment of Solskjaer. So let's look at the other option in terms of Carrick, in terms of it looks like something new, looks like something fresh. There are no disagreements to how he plays the game, no disagreements to any particular history. I think during the interim time he was at Manchester United, I think he coached 3 games. He won 2, he drew 1. So for them, it's a good record for them to choose him. So that, because obviously it looks like our board is so much focused on social media reactions than actually making good footballing decisions. So I think first and foremost, it was just about Solskjaer represents a past that was good with good times and also good times. But Carrick represents kind of a newness, kind of someone that they can quickly put in that they will not have much backlash from social media. So the second point is what has been revealed, and I think is what we already knew, that they say Ole was not cared about the money. Ole was not cared about, as what Fabrizio said. But the fact is, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has now been reviewed. I think Ben Jacobs said it, that Ole wanted a big payout, if he makes Champions League, and he wanted a shot at the permanent role. So I think the game plan of Ole is not because he loves the club. Yeah, he loves the club, but I think he loves the club because he wants to be the manager, right? In that sense, he loves the club. That's why he wants to do the job, but ultimately with the end of becoming the manager. And I like that decision why he was not given, because obviously in 2026, looking at the way football has evolved, looking at the way teams have evolved, we don't want to find ourselves playing an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer style of football in 2026. It was good for 2019, 2020 as at that moment, but it's not good for where we are currently. And this is someone, that's Ole, is someone that has not even shown us. He has not showed us in any way or form that after he left United, he has a pedigree to show us, or a track record to show us that he can actually play better football than what he played with us. His first major job after United was Besiktas, and he was sacked at least 8 months after getting the job. So it shows us that there's no much credibility that he has, no more proof that he has to show us that he can even give us a different brand of football that we need in this new age. So the third point is obviously the fact that, Carrick obviously has a definite style of play. When you look at the games, you see that this is a guy that depends so much on, composed football, passing it around, kind of like a possession-based side. You can see that. And I think there's one interview of Carrick that I watched where Carrick was talking about the fact that, that he took his ideas from the likes of Louis van Gaal. And you also remember that time that Van Gaal and Carrick were very, very close, and Van Gaal said Carrick always come and want to ask for ideas. So, and obviously, he took some of the ideas from Van Gaal, some of the ideas from obviously the new brand of football, the Pep-induced brand of football. He also said he took a little bit of defensive solidity ideas from the likes of Jose Mourinho. So he's someone that you can see that this someone has a thought-out process about how he wants to play the game. When you watch his team, you can say this is a Michael Carrick team. Yes, not everything is good, which we'll do the tactical analysis in another video, deep tactical analysis on another video, but you can see that there's an identity to how he wants to play. A team that does a lot of passing, a team that wants to be composed on the ball, a team that wants to detect, right? That's the kind of team he is. He's not a counter-attack manager. But yeah, obviously, it now depends on what he's going to do in Man United, considering the level Manchester United is, considering the opponent. That's another different discussion. But you can see the idea. And now the question now is, going for Michael Carrick instead of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, does the selection of Michael Carrick give us a pointer into what we will do in the summer as regards a permanent manager? Because if you are getting a person like Michael Carrick that plays a particular brand of football, now what we'll begin to look at is that, is he able to implement that kind of brand of football in the short space of time he has as interim? Then, does that brand of football signify the kind of brand of football that the board are looking towards implementing on a permanent basis with a new manager? Or is just the fact that it was just based on social media reaction that they chose Michael Carrick? So that is another thing we have to look at. Is Michael Carrick a pointer to the future, or is just a short-term, baseless social media induced decision? So these are the things we want to look at. But obviously, about Carrick is a legend that I love so much. And for one of the things I've always come to have in my mind about Carrick is the fact that one way Carrick was so influential for Man United during his time as a midfielder for us, that one way for me to know that United was going to have a good game is to see how Carrick played. And I can remember that certain games that Carrick did not play well and we obviously lost. Sometimes Carrick would lose the ball, sometimes very rare, but it happened at a certain moment for those of us that watch those times where Carrick could lose the ball and maybe we get scored or something like that, right? So there were moments like that, not frequent, but there were moments like that I can look at the way Carrick was on the ball and I can say, Carrick scores on the ball, I can say, we are going to win this game. We have a shot at this game. And I feel that's amazing. United currently, we don't have that player that you can quickly look at and say, if this player is playing well, this team is going to win. I think at a point, Manchester City had a Rodri. But United currently, we can't really say because Bruno sometimes play well and we still lose. So that was the kind of impact that Carrick had. And not just that, I understand there was a famous statement from Sir Alex Ferguson that he loves to use Carrick in the second half of the season. And I can tell you that, and there was a lot of disagreements at that moment that no, I can play from the beginning of the season. But it was like Carrick's form begins at the middle of the season towards the end. And it's no coincidence that United, for a lot of seasons under Sir Alex Ferguson, we hit our top gear in that December period towards the end. It's no coincidence that a player was specifically mentioned to always be on great form in those periods. And in those same periods, we had exponential, performances towards winning the title. So Carrick was very, very influential for us. So it's another thing about looking at it that he plays also in one of the most important roles. I think the most important role tactically in football, as that number 6 role. We have not successfully replaced Carrick in that role. And when you look at him, for people that play in that position, the likes of Guardiola, the likes of Arteta, that can play in that role, you see that they see the game in a different way. They see the game in a much more tactical way. And so, looking at his composure, also calm, composed Carrick, I expect that having an understanding of that role, playing for the likes of Van Gaal, Mourinho, Sir Alex. So, looking at his experience, right? I feel we should expect that he thinks the game a lot more differently than what maybe another manager like Solskjaer will think the game. So let's give him a chance to see how he's able to influence, himself on the team in the short while. And maybe that points to the future. But there is a downside to this decision because this is in my own lifetime, this is the third time that we are having a third manager in a season. The first time was we had, if I'm not mistaken, we had Mourinho, right? No, okay, we had a particular manager we had, I think that's Ole, right? We had Ole, then we had Carrick and Fletcher, and then after Carrick and Fletcher as partners, then we had Ralf Rangnick. And you guys saw how that season went under Ralf Rangnick, right? The second time we've had this is when we sacked Ten Hag, we had Van Nistelrooy, and we had Ruben Amorim. You guys saw how it went. So this is another opportunity that we have at this third manager is season. It just it has not shown to work for us. So this season we've already had Ruben Amorim, we've had Fletcher for 2 games, and now we are having Michael Carrick. I hope that the bad results that we have had when we've had 3 managers in the season, I hope it does not replace itself this season. I really hope it doesn't replace itself this season. So I wish Michael Carrick the best, and I hope he succeeds at this few short stints that he has at the club. So guys, let's jump right into the second part of this discussion. Is the fact of looking ahead. And I think now we've settled the part of interim manager. We know who our interim manager is. But let's now start looking ahead into who can qualify to become our permanent managers. I think first and foremost, we've done an analysis on this in previous episodes where we talked about the fact that the most important question to ask yourself whenever you want to go through a footballing project or process is how do we want to play? And I hope the board is answering that question. I hope the likes of Jason Wilcox are answering that question and clearly defining, a style of play. Because if we don't define the style of play and we expect a manager to come in to take up the role of an head coach and we still want to reserve the right to decide the players who will buy for him, then I think it's a wrong formula. Because foundationally, whoever decides the style of play, whoever decides the profiles needed in that style of play, automatically should have a higher responsibility in buying players that fits that style of play. I've likened it to a painter. Whoever wants to paint an image, whoever has the image of what he wants to paint in his head should be given the paintbrush. You can't say, I have an idea of how I want to paint, and then you give another person to be painting for you. It doesn't make sense. The person will never get it exactly how you want to get it. So if the manager is the person that has the idea of how he wants to play in his head, the philosophy of how he wants to play, the profiles of players that he wants to use to play, then the manager should be given additional power to bring in the right players that he wants to bring in. Yes, the manager obviously cannot be a scouting genius, so the scouting team will help him, but he automatically reserves the higher share of power or decision making to choose the player he wants for the profile. But if the sporting director, in quotes, a manager at heart, Jason Wilcox, is the one that is setting the style of play and the profile needed in that style of play, then we can now understand if he is the one going about to find the profiles for the style of play and just get a manager to manage or to be a coach for the players. So I think we need to clearly define it. I can't be the one as a manager setting the style of play, profiles also, and then you now decide how you want to, the players you buy for me. It doesn't make sense. It's a strategy that is bound to fail. So I think United needs to define how do we want to play. It's another point I'm making again. I made it before in previous episodes. I'm making it again today. Define how you want to play. Also, we've had legends in this club to show you that there's a reason why this so-called United way, this so-called Sir Alex Ferguson way has not been replicated anywhere. Because when they shout about, oh, we want the United way, we want the Sir Alex way, the fact is, or the United DNA, all those things, the fact is, the reason why we are confused about what exactly the DNA is because We admire Sir Alex. We respect him. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest manager to have existed in world football. But the fact is, his system has not been replicated by anyone. That is a fact. The players that played under him, no one of them is successfully managing a club now or has successfully managed a club to the top level in their careers. And so I think we can look at the likes of Cruyff. We see how Cruyff influenced the likes of Guardiola, how Guardiola influenced the likes of Arteta, Maresca, company, influenced a lot of managers, influenced world football. We can see that school of thought. We can see the likes of Arrigo Sacchi. Arrigo Sacchi was influential, even the likes of Jurgen Klopp at one point. Look at the likes of, even the Lancelottis, where Arrigo Sacchi influenced a lot of managers. We can look at even the likes of Ralf Rangnick, Jürgen Pressing, the likes of Jurgen Klopp, the likes of Nagelsmann, the likes of even Tuchel got one or two things from it. And these guys are top managers. But the fact is, who took Sir Alex Ferguson's model and replicated it somewhere else? So it's either the model is so, or it's either the Sir Alex is so special that his model cannot be replicated, or the model is actually not that superb, that the model is just superb because we had a super manager. You get that? So we need to forget about this United DNA, United way, because it's a mirage. We can't actually point to someone that's actually using it currently. But when the likes of Gary Neville come out to say, we need the United way, United DNA, all they are trying to say is that they want a former teammate of theirs, a former student or a former player under Sir Alex Ferguson to become the head coach. That's what they understand by the DNA. Even the fans, we can't accurately share our DNA. You can ask an average Barcelona fan, what is the Barcelona identity? They can clearly state it. And they can state it with a specific playing style, with a particular philosophy. But ours is not rooted in a philosophy. Maybe because of how special Sir Alex was. It's rooted in belief, courage, youth, ambition, trophies, being there, being competitive, promoting youth, giving youth a chance, So being there. So I think we should just stick to those things and not try to now bring out a larger discussion to a particular system, because truly we can't even see. We can't show an example apart from Sir Alex to show us how it worked. And that's why you see that when you see legends like Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes come on a podcast recently and they ask them, they say, bringing Carrick in as interim, it's not really the right decision, that they believe that, we could have managers like Emery. They mentioned Emery. They mentioned Tuchel. And the fact is, which one is which? Emery plays a different football from Tuchel. So it's just the fact that he's just name calling. This all would say, United needs a manager, like either Tuchel or Xavi. So the fact of what direction are we going to? And that is like these guys, they are only good for podcasting. With due respect to them. The likes of Scholes, Gary Neville, Nicky Butt. These guys are only good for Ferdinand. They're only good for podcasting. They're only good for opinions. We can't really have these guys actually go and get a managerial job and do well. Because what idea are you saying? Tuchel, Emery, Xavi, these are different spectrum. We are confused. No vision. No vision. And also the board. There was a report from Fabrizio saying the moment they sacked Ruben Amorim, the two managers in the board's mind was Tuchel and De Zerbi. What direction are we going to? What exactly? Because these are two different managers. De Zerbi currently, for Marcel, in quite a number of games, has adopted a 3 at the back. So are we taking that into cognizance? Yeah, I know De Zerbi can play a 4 at the back. And De Zerbi was one of the managers. If you remember that those time, I said, if we are going to go in a different direction, I feel we should go for either De Zerbi or Nagelsmann to choose our direction. I said that after Thiago sacked. And I'm happy that De Zerbi is in the role. But the fact is, first of all, before I start talking about De Zerbi or whatever, how do you want to play? Because De Zerbi and Tuchel are different ends of how they approach the game. So define how you want to play, and that will now inform the manager you go for. I'm open to any of these managers. I'm open to De Zerbi. Tuchel, I don't really fancy, but De Zerbi is someone that will open with two hands. But the fact is, De Zerbi doesn't have the players to use in Manchester United. Tuchel doesn't have the players he can use in Manchester United. Let's be honest ourselves. We've said it many times, we'll say it again. No matter the manager you are bringing, we have to change the squad to fit the manager. Except if there's a philosophy that Wilcox has in his head that we don't even know. But the fact is, this team, as we have currently, is only good for a particular kind of football. It's a football that you sit on the low block and eat on the counter attack. This team currently is not a possession-based team. This team currently is not a team that can play Gege pressing style. This team currently is not a team that can dominate opponents at ease. What we can do is this team is a team that can defend and maybe eat on a counter attack, or this is a team that can also depend on individual moments or a long ball to the striker, and then they can feed off what the striker gives them. So we have to build our identity to a much more better place. Even this style of play that I've mentioned, people can argue that these players can maybe not even play these styles well. So we have to create an identity. Who is setting that identity? Is it the sporting director or the manager? Whoever sets it should have the higher power. But first of all, let's know, how do you want to play? How do you want to play? So guys, these are what I have concerning the latest development in Manchester United, concerning Michael Carrick. We'll watch how he does in the first 2 or 3 games in Manchester United, and then we'll come about what we've seen, because what we see him implement. Yeah, I understand the 3 games are very, very tough games. The first 2 games exactly is Manchester City and Arsenal. So we look at what decision did he decide to come out to play, or did he decide to sit on the low block? We analyze those things, and then we can now see how different he is from maybe an Amorim, how different is he from maybe a Solskjaer, how different he is from maybe a Ten Hag and a Fletcher. We'll look at those things, and then we'll come here as usual to analyze. So guys, thank you for sticking with me. I remain my humble self, Shegun. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to share this content. Thank you for always sticking with us. Thank you for your nice words. Until we see you next time. Bye.